What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here, and we are back on the road to 450. It is our last road to 450 of the year, and today we're gonna find out what is the hardest thing to fix, and have I been doing it wrong this whole time? Because one Instagram reel really highlighted something for Blitz and I. Before we dive in, we have to ask the most important question of the day. How you doing today, AJ? You having a good one?
So catch me if I fall.
All right, so I'll keep it transparent with you guys. It is currently, the day we're filming this, it's actually Thanksgiving. And if you have never had a pregnant partner, or if you've never been pregnant yourself, when you reach like a certain time period in the pregnancy, they basically tell you, you don't have to like follow this rule, but it'd probably be a good idea if you kind of stayed in the state and stayed here. Well, we don't actually have any family that lives in Alabama, and so my wife and I are chilling at home today, and so she woke up feeling not bueno, and because of that she was like, I'm gonna rest, take some time, and so we've been trying to film a bunch of videos, trying to get ready for the end of the year. I had this realization the other day because Blitz and I, and we've been working on my form, you probably, I guess I should say, hopefully have noticed that how I'm approaching the disc and just these changes actually looks different than how I was throwing before. It's a lot more upright. It's a lot less of the like, swing it up, pull it through, that type deal. So it feels a lot more fluid. It feels like I'm getting distance a lot more. And one of the people that we sort of looked at as a model on who does this really well is an Innova Pro, Zach Nash. Now, Zach has a super fluid form as he's throwing. And what it really pointed out to me is I was watching how he was doing the method and everything. And I sort of was approaching this honestly from a perspective of, if I had to like describe a pro who I felt like sort of my speed was like when it came to the run up, it was probably Casey White, who was much more of an aggressive running into the shot. Well, as I was flipping through socials, I saw a short from Zach Nash of him throwing, and he was looking super methodical and incredibly slow, and then the disc just exploded out of his hands on the backside of the shot. So I jumped on the computer and sent a message over to Blitz, and I was like, hey, do you see this? Am I just going too fast? Well, spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, yes. So we talked about in the last road to 450, the idea of accelerating at the right time. So people are trying to accelerate back here, and then they have nothing left in the tank when they get to the front. But I think that the hardest thing to fix in your disc golf throw when you're trying to gain distance is, quite simply, timing. Now, my throwing nose up installment was 25 minutes, and so many people have let me know that was too long. So we're gonna try to keep this a little short and concise and talk about timing and two things that I think are disrupting timing and how you can fix them. So when it comes to timing, timing is sort of when the body and mechanics and levers are going into place and falling into proper positions. And timing is all about our ability to get into those correct positions, or at least the time period where the power is being transferred as effortlessly as possible. That's the right word. Now, when I'm doing lessons, I tell people quite often that you can make a lot of timing windows from your lower half. So if I'm doing a lesson with someone and let's say they don't throw 300 feet, I'm only going to really address their lower body if it is just crazy off. Because we talked about, I'm sure we talked about on this channel before, if you have a perfect lower body and a wacky upper body, you could still max out at like 375 feet. But if you have a perfect upper body and a somewhat wacky lower body, you could max out at like 450, which brings the question, why would we ever work on the lower body versus the upper body? And that's because, to me, at least how I understand it, is that the lower body creates so many timing windows. And so if we fix the upper body first, then we're gonna have to relearn those timing windows, because if your timing windows are off, it's still going to inhibit your maximum distance potential. So rather than have to go through and learn things one way for the upper body, then relearn our lower body, and then have to relearn the upper body for new timing, I like to just sort of start with the lower body a little bit, get things firing away, because your body knows how to do a lot of the things in the lower body. We just have to kind of remind it on what to do. But when the lower body really throws us off is a concept that Blitz and I talked about, which was going too fast and your body can't catch up. here's what it looks like. So often when we are going to throw, we are going to add so much speed and run up to it. People attack the run up in a multitude of ways. You have lots of folks who are intimidated by the run up and it creates some issues. So they go to standstills, which I think is a perfectly acceptable place to be. And obviously Coach Blitz will tell you that you can throw like 1 billion miles throwing standstills. There's no necessarily need for the momentum, but people do feel more comfortable adding that momentum. And so we want to acknowledge that that's like a perfectly valid thing. As we step up to do our run up, so often we can be moving too fast or our run up creates some issues for us. One of the first issues we see is you get running too fast, and so we spin around backwards, and then now we fall into the shot, and when we fall into the shot, it creates a host of other issues. So our legs have derailed us from power potential. The other thing is that so often we can get running up because we think that that's the speed, but now I'm in a really weak position. Even if I come from the side, I run up for the speed. Well, now, yeah, like I've run up and have all this momentum, but I can't really stop it or brace correctly. So I'm just gonna leak the power forward. And while I may get something, it's certainly not as much as potential as I could. Here are a couple examples of trying to go really fast with the run up. Unable to brace, and I just threw a spore farther than I threw a pig. Yeah, am I moving significantly faster? Sure, I'm adding a lot of momentum to the throw, but I'm moving too fast to let everything fire and I'm not landing in proper positions. Now compare that to a standstill where I have no power or no speed being put into the shot and I can just focus on my timing. And while we did yank that a little bit, it still went significantly farther than the fast run-ups went, especially when we couldn't really nail timing at all. So what's our hypothesis? Or really, I think the takeaway is slow down. Just slow down. So there you go. This is if you dislike long videos or you don't want any more, congratulations. Cut the video right there. Hope you have a great day and make it fantastic for someone else too. For now, we'll leave you folks with the birdie. And for those of you who want a little more, and besides just like the little YouTube nugget of the day that you can hopefully take to the field and get you some extra distance, let's talk through it just a tiny bit more. I want to talk about a misunderstood concept, which is lag. So people want to create lag, and one of the quickest ways that they try to create lag is by going so much faster that the arm literally gets trapped behind. And most often, because we want to create this lag and make this leave the disc back here type mentality going, we can go too fast and put ourselves in terribly weak positions. Now there's one person who does this extremely well. His name's Paul Macbeth, and he's a unicorn in his form. He does this extra move that he gets in creating that really weak position that I don't see a lot of amateurs especially accomplish, but they all put themselves in Paul's starting position and wonder why they can't get to his finishing position because they don't have that extra gear that he has in order to engage that, but that's neither here nor there. So in trying to go so fast, we're trying to create this lag because we think if we create the lag, therefore it's gonna be that extra oomph. But the lag and the attempt at getting lag and going so fast actually puts us in such terrible positions that we're not even gonna get middle ground type results. Now this isn't inherently your fault as an amateur if you're putting yourself in these positions. I think that one of the biggest reasons that we end up in these positions is because we believe that our body actively needs to be doing something during the throw at all times instead of being patient and waiting because we, as Lightning McQueen wanted to, go fast. Ka-chow. And there's one spot that this manifests itself in that creates the going faster, too fast mentality, and that is in the backswing. So what ends up happening is that we get to this backswing position, and if you've watched a lot of form videos or things like that, you've probably heard something along the lines of the disc should reach peak reach back when the front foot touches. This is the timing window that so many people try to aim for, and once again, we're back to timing, because the reason this happens is because if we get to this too early, our body really doesn't like doing an active motion while reminding itself to stay still and wait. So what happens is if we get to this back position too early and we're here, now we want to drive in and we want to start pulling, and that puts us into this compromised weak position where we think we've just created lag and therefore it's going to work. But reality, this gets trapped and it has to come all the way around simply because we wanted to go fast. We tried to go fast from back here rather than being slow and patient and letting this come around, close in, get to this position, and then embrace the go fast mentality. Then embrace the I want to send it as best I can. Now, the phrase that I used when I described Zach's form to blitz was, I said, am I doing this wrong? Because I feel like this looks insanely slow until it isn't. Now, an area that Zach helps keep himself from going too fast is his run up. He isn't looking like he's sprinting into the run up and then hitting it hard, because that and embracing the brace or finding the brace can be rather tricky. Also, he doesn't have like a Paul Oman type walk up where he is, because this can also be very difficult to add the timing windows. He's walking at a casual pace. You walk around all the time, most likely. And as you're walking around, this is just your standard pace of your moving. And this is enough to move me from point A to point B. So why is it also not enough to move me to where I want to go and allow me to not think about going too fast so that I can then allow my arm to be the fast piece? Where you might have felt this most often is doing shadow swings as you walk around your house or apartment. It's wild how we can be walking around our natural environment and just feel these natural windows and how we can hit it so well. And then as soon as we find ourselves with a disc in our hand in a wide open space, and we're making the chick so sad because we just change everything that we were doing. So what if we try to embrace that natural walking pace? We just embrace this natural pace, start things a little left because of course we got a headwind, embrace the pace. And as we come through, fire everything, and then think about accelerating the hand to this point. So if you want to think about getting somewhere quick, it's not necessarily what we're trying to do. We're trying to get into a proper position. And for me, where I'm trying to focus on is getting things coiled back here. And then as soon as I get my head to this 45-degree position, that's when I let myself think about going fast, because that I've put myself in a powerful position. So we embrace the pace, think about getting to 45, and hit a scoreboard. I'm telling you, it probably feels so goofy to sit there and walk around. Only you are gonna be able to nail your timing, because for some people, you're going to have to move at sort of a walk up or a almost standstill type pace that feels so slow to you. Even when I did the last one, I felt incredibly slow, but the results show for themselves. We can't, like, real versus feel is so true when trying to change things. And it's why timing is one of the hardest things to fix in the form, because while you may think that you're moving at a slower pace, reality is you're moving at a standard pace or even a faster pace than you're giving yourself credit for. That's really the focus point, guys. Slow down, feel versus real. What you feel like is probably slow is still normal to fast. So don't be afraid to feel like you're moving colossally slow. Now, I'll tell you, this is the last chance that I'm probably gonna get to be to a field for quite some time. I'm gonna take some time, do a little field work, and I thought, hey, why don't we get side guy, cue up some hype music, show a couple shots, let's have a good time. Woo, woo, too fast. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I am so grateful and thankful for each and every one of you and your support of what we're doing here on the channel. Wait a minute. There was something I was supposed to remember. What was it? Oh yeah, never mind. For now, we're gonna leave you with the birdie.